Hey, this is Danielle from Black Business Boom and Black Owned Nashville, and we are live with our industry expert in personal injury law, attorney Amy Brown. How are you, Amy?
I'm doing wonderful. How's everyone? Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm super excited to have you and super excited to learn about what you do. This will be a great time for our audience just to get to know you and to know that they have a resource when they are looking for a personal injury attorney. So,
Yes.
Amy, are you from Nashville?
I'm not originally from Nashville, but Nashville's home. I
Oh,
moved here for college for TSU many moons ago.
all
and
right.
I'm an only child, so my mom followed me here. I left and I moved to Atlanta for 12 years and then I came back home. So
Okay.
I'm happy to be
So,
back.
I know we hear the term personal injury law, and there's some folks that don't really know what that means. So, can you tell us what that means?
Yes, well, at Nashville Injury Law, which is my company, we represent injured victims to make sure they received maximum compensation after an injury. So that pretty much tells you you have to be the person that was hurt. You can't be the person that was at fault. And you
Mhm.
actually have had to sustain an injury. A lot of people are like, well, this happened to me, but my car is just damaged, or there's I'm not hurt at all, but I just don't like that this happened. So there has to be some kind of injury that you can attribute to someone else. It's not
Mhm.
always an auto accident. Sometimes it's a dog bite or a fall or a product that has harmed you. So it could be a lot of different things. But as long as somebody else harmed you and if there's a corporation or policy behind it, we can generally help you.
That was my question. Is it just auto? So that thank you so much for answering that question. What does this process look like, or what do folks need to know and make sure that they're doing if they are injured, if they have some sort of incident or accident and they, hurt their back or whatever happens? What are the next steps that they need to take?
Caveat, I'm not saying this because I'm a lawyer, but the first thing you need to do is call a lawyer. Doesn't have to be me, just somebody. And that's the advice I would give to anyone in my family. And I say that because all the interested parties are represented, except for the person who's injured a lot. And a lot of people want to go it alone, but it doesn't really work out that way. I mean, it's very possible that you can get a settlement, but there are just things that you don't know and they're not going to disclose to you, not your own insurance company, not the other party's insurance company. So the best thing you can do is have an advocate for yourself. Most personal injuries attorneys offer free consultations. So just call and see what can be done to help you before you talk to an insurance company or before you talk to any kind of legal representative for the other side. Obviously, depending on the severity of your injuries, you may have gone to the hospital or doctor first, and that's good. That's get the treatment that you need to stabilize yourself. But your next thing to do needs to be calling someone that can give you advice.
Okay, and that was another question. You are just ahead of me. Because I was going to ask you, I've heard of folks that didn't go to the hospital or didn't go to the doctor, but they, experience some pain. They're hurt, but they don't necessarily have anything documented to prove that. Do they still have a case?
Not really. You have to have damages. A lot of times you may get an offer of something something minor, like $1,000 or something. Just we inconvenienced you. Your neck may hurt a little, but you're
Mhm.
not going to the doctor.
Okay.
But really, I say go always, even if you don't know, because a lot of times with these type of car accident injuries, you don't feel anything right away. A lot of people are like,
Mhm.
oh, 2 or 3 days later, I'm in pain.
Mhm.
And it's not too late to go then. You don't want to wait very much longer than that. You don't want to wait more than a week, but go. Let somebody check you out. And at least that's that. What's the harm in going to the doctor, getting a checkup? You may have a $200, $300 bill. They'll pay that, even if it's nothing, but then you are making sure you're okay. I've had people in that situation say, I don't think it's anything, especially guys. I get this a lot from my guys, and they're like, "Oh man, I had a herniated disc. Who knew?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, good thing you didn't ignore that. Like, you want to go get checked out at least while somebody's on the hook for it. But if you don't have any damages, consider yourself fortunate that you're not injured."
Yeah, I mean that's a good thing, but if you are, you definitely want to be compensated. I can
Mhm.
imagine. I've never been in any accidents, knock on
That's
wood, but
great.
uh, but I would definitely feel like if I was injured, somebody owes me some
Right.
money,
Mhm.
and that's important for me to go get it. So I love that. So let me ask you this because you mentioned earlier that if you have any sort of incident, with a business or so I want to come at this from the other perspective of the business owners that are tuned in and the things that they should be doing to protect themselves in case someone gets injured by their product, gets injured at their establishment. What are some things that we as business owners can be doing to make sure that we're protecting ourselves as well?
First of all, everybody needs to have insurance. You have to have insurance. Like people are like, it costs so much, but it's gonna cost you way more than not have it than to have it. So get insurance. That way they'll take care of it. I actually spoke to a business owner this morning, which is not generally my client. I generally work for the person that's hurt, but she was getting sued and she was like, what do I do? She didn't know that your insurance provides compensation for an attorney. They'll usually just give you an attorney if somebody sues you. So I said, you need to file this with your insurance and then you don't have to worry about it. They're going to take care of it. They may settle with this person or whatnot, but that it won't be your problem anymore. So make sure you get insurance. Another thing that you need to do is really be aware of any hazards that you have because a known hazard or should have known hazard is going to put you in the realm of liable for an injury. And a lot of
Okay.
times, especially with larger businesses, you hear, oh, well, Sarah fell there this week and the client from last week fell at the same place and somebody else fell there a month ago. And if they have a good lawyer, they're going to subpoena all of that and it's going to make it much worse on you. So if something happens in a place, you need to really really assess the situation and find out why this person got injured there and make sure that you are fixing that. You want to keep
Mhm.
logs if you have people in and out of your business of maintenance records because all those things can be subpoenaed. So, we mop at this time. So somebody can't say, well, the floor is wet. No, we mopped 5 hours ago. So keep all those things written down in order to protect yourself and make sure you have good insurance. So,
Man, there's just so much you got to do as a
mhm.
business owner. I
So
tell
much.
you, there's so many things that you got to do. Back to the personal injury side as your client. What do we expect after we engage with an attorney, and what does that process look like? How long is it? What should we expect to be prepared to do? What Tell us a little bit more about what that looks like.
I'm so glad you asked this question because people sometimes have different expectations. At
Mhm.
the beginning of your case, there's a lot of movement. It's let's just use a car example for a car accident, for example. We're trying to get your car fixed for you. We're trying to get you into a rental. We're trying to make sure that you get established treatment. So all those things in the first few weeks are happening a lot. You're hearing from us a lot. Once you get established into the medical care, there's really nothing that goes on in your case. It's you going to the doctor and it's between you and your treatment provider what that looks like because we never want to get in and say we need them out of the doctor in 3 weeks or whatever, and it's going to be different for every person. So the t- the length of the case really has to do with the type of injuries that you sustain. A person with a sore neck is going to treat for a lot less than a person with a broken leg. So
Mhm.
it really deter and a older person may take longer to heal than a younger person. So there's lots of variables there. But it's really important that once you get treatment that you follow the treatment plan of the doctor. And people don't always like to do that because they're asking you to come sometimes 3 times a week, but they're
Mm.
writing these things down. So if I present to the insurance company that my client needs $1 million because they're hurt and the doctor's note says, well, she stopped coming to the doctor.
Then you
That's a
clearly
problem.
okay. You look like you recovered.
Right. That's a problem. So we really need you to stay at the doctor until you're released. At our firm, we follow up with you periodically while you're in that treatment phase just to say, hey, what's going on? A lot of times people are afraid to talk to their doctors, which is crazy, but I get it. So they're like, man, well, they're only hurt, they're only treating this and this hurts too. And I'm like, well, did you tell them that? So we check up to make sure that things are progressing. And then after you're released from treatment, that's when we sort of pick back up. we start to get the medical records and submit them to the insurance companies and start to negotiate your case. And most
Mm,
times, if you just have a neck and a back injury, you're looking at maybe 2 months of treatment, another 2 months to your settlement. So for 5 to 6 months, it could be all over with.
mm, okay.
But a lot of cases are not in that realm. And in Tennessee, the statute of limitations is only 1 year. So that means you either have to
Mm,
settle or file a lawsuit within that time frame. And because it's so short, it's shorter than most states. A lot of times you're put in a position where you have to file a lawsuit just to protect the statute, and the person's still going to the doctor. So those are the longer cases that that draw out for a very long time.
that's interesting. Tennessee, good old Tennessee.
1 year, you can't get anything done in a year. I mean,
No, that's rough. I have one last question for you. And this is what I typically ask my experts because we really want to make sure we're educating the Black community and helping us to get ahead and deal with situations that we encounter. So, are there any things that as Black people we need to be hyper aware of in this process, or are we disproportionately impacted in any way when it comes to injury law?
yeah, I would say so. And it's not necessarily just injury law, but the medical field is always a point of contention for a lot of Black people. We don't trust to go to the doctor, which you have to in this process. You have to communicate well with your doctor, and you have to feel that you're getting good treatment. So a lot of times people just don't like the treatment that they're getting and they just want to be done with it, you know? And then I would also say insurance. I tell people get insurance for you. So there you have no idea how many people are running around uninsured. So if you don't have good coverages on your end, you are in trouble. Everybody needs to have uninsured motorist coverage. It is not optional because you're just rolling the dice.
Yeah,
Somebody's going to hit you and they're not going to have coverage. Like they're just not. And then people are saying, well, can I sue that person directly? Well, sure you can, but a judgment is only as good as the paper it's on if that person has no
if they
resources.
don't have anything, you're not gonna get anything.
They couldn't afford the 25,000 minimal state limits. Do you think they're going to be able to pay your $100,000 hospital bill? They are not. So
That is a great point. And I'll tell you, back in the day, which is, I feel really old, but like when I first started driving, you just call and you're just like, I want full coverage, and I didn't know what all that was.
right.
Now I have to like go through and choose all the things that I
Mhm.
want under my coverage when I'm getting a new policy. And I'm always confused, like, do I need this? Do I need that? So I think the next time we'll talk a little bit more about like how do you choose the coverage that you need
Yeah,
to protect yourself,
that's really
because
good. That's a great topic.
I've been driving for 20 years and like when I go and get new insurance, I'm like, okay, I don't know which one of these things. I don't know if they're just trying to sell me something that I
That
don't
you don't.
need, like, and insurance can get so it can be so
Yeah,
costly that we are trying to, cut a little cost whenever we can. So we'll
exactly.
get into that.
Yes.
And then we had one question from the folks tuning in about food poisoning. So if someone gets food poisoning or gets sick from eating at a restaurant, is that something that they would come to you for?
They could, yes. Those are harder cases to prove, very hard to
Mhm,
prove, but I've handled
mhm,
those cases before. And a lot of times it comes down to you just being persistent because usually if you can find a company's insurance, even if they don't believe you or you can't fully sure up your case, they will pay you something. So it may not be
okay.
like a ballpark because that has a causation issue. That's not usually the only thing you ate all day.
Yeah.
A doctor can't really prove that that thing you ate is the thing that happened. So
Mhm,
it's just kind of a more probable than not thing. And even if you say you hadn't eaten anything all day, they can't prove it. So it's just very
mhm,
hard. But a lot of times, you can do some digging. Like I said, are there lots of people filing complaints with this company? Do they have any kind of like healthcare violations? And those things tend
mhm,
to allow you to prove yourself a little bit better. If the same person is suing the same restaurant over and over and over again, then
yeah.
perhaps there is something there. So you can look for those things, those violations and et cetera. So
Yeah.
you can do it. You can
That
do it.
makes perfect
Anything
sense because,
is
if I get sick there and tons of other people have gotten sick or they've had a lot of violations when it comes to their inspections,
exactly.
then it feels like, you have a stronger case. I
That's
love that.
right.
This has been extremely helpful, and like I said, next time I want to dig, we're going to dig a little bit deeper into some of these topics. So if you're tuning in and you have questions, drop them in the comments so that we make sure next time we chat that we can cover those topics for you guys. Amy will be coming to us every month and talking to us about personal injury law. And Amy, tell folks if they are tuned in, they think they have a case, or you never know what may happen, and they want to make sure that they can get in touch with you. What's the best way for them to reach out?
Our phone number is easy to remember. It's 615-551-HURT. That's 4878 615-551-HURT. We're on all socials at Nashville Injury Law. Well, not all, but Facebook and Instagram. I don't tweet. But you can reach us there. We do offer free consultations, and we also offer free policy reviews because we want our clients to be proactive.
I
Not
love that. That is wonderful. That is wonderful. That is something that I would love for our community to take advantage of. So reach out, Nashville
Please
Injury
do.
Law. They'll do a policy review for you. I'm going to take you up on that offer myself to make sure that I am covered. Because, like I said, every time I'm like, somebody help me. I don't know if I'm choosing the right thing. So
Right.
I'm really excited about that as an option. And I'm really excited to have you as a resource for our community. I appreciate you so much, Amy. I look forward to working with you.
Me
And
too.
then, as I mentioned earlier, we'll also be promoting some other Black owned brands during my live stream. So today I'm rocking a t shirt by It's All Kosher. Kosher Briley is a local Nashville native who has a t shirt line here, and she's all about positivity and growth. And that's why it's all kosher. So make sure you go and support that Black owned business as well as Nashville Injury Law. Again, thank you so much for joining me, Amy. And thank you so much,
Welcome.
everyone, tuning in.